Hi, Rob. Thanks so much for joining me today. How you doing?
Hi, Charlotte. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm doing really good. This starting to feel like spring in Ohio. So this is like the first day. It's starting to feel pretty warm. So the vibes are high today.
So tell me a little bit about what you do and what your role is at Gold Athletics.
I am a sales rep in Gold Athletics. I represent Ohio and the western side of Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I live in Cleveland, so I cover Toledo, which is about 2 hours west, Youngstown area, which is about an hour east, and then I go down to Columbus, which is about an hour south. So I have a pretty nice perimeter right around my Cleveland hometown.
Cover a lot of ground and you've got quite a big territory there. What do you enjoy most as a fundraising coach in Ohio?
So the thing that I enjoy most about Ohio is this is my home territory. So I'm born and raised in Ohio, have always been around the area, and it's cool that I grew up going to high school games and playing in high school against these different schools. And now I can see them and I see their coaches. I recognize some coaches. I recognize the name of the schools, the mascots, and stuff like that. And now it's cool just being able to work with people that I used to compete against. So it's pretty cool that I'm able to see the different ways that these different programs are running and seeing the different coaching styles that some of the coaches have and stuff like that. To answer your question fully, I would say that the thing that I like the most is connecting with coaches and the athletes themselves. I think a lot of the coaches have some pretty cool mindsets, and they have a lot of wealth and a lot of knowledge in their minds with what they've experienced their whole lives. So I think it's pretty cool to be a sponge and kind of listen to some of the coaches and see kind of what they have to offer, because they have a lot of good advice when it comes to life.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're learning from each other. Your relationships are evolving from back in the day
Absolutely.
to today.
Absolutely.
So what's your favorite part about being a sales rep? What do you enjoy the most?
So I would say my favorite part of being a sales rep is that there's still a sales mentality involved with this job. I have always been into sales, and in my past experience, it's been kind of more hardcore sales where I was in a house trying to sell something. This is more mild, so you're still getting a lot of good sales experience, and it's still pretty sales driven when you're thinking about it to the core, but it's a lot more mild and it's more laid back. So instead of having to sell a product, you're kind of having to sell yourself to the coach and why he should want to work with you and your company. So I would say that would be my favorite part is this is still sales, but it's more of a mild part and you get to work in sport. So I would say that's my favorite part.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, how would you describe the company culture in a few words?
So the company culture, I would say, is collaborative, trusting, and transparent. I would say the thing that I enjoy most is the transparency that Gold Athletics has. We have a meeting every 2 weeks as a company, all 20 plus people in the company, and the owner is on the company, Matt Ross, and he is very transparent with everything that is going on, everything that's going on with Gold Athletics, from the merchant team to the sales reps to the back end customer support and stuff like that. So as a sales rep, you're still able to see everything kind of going on within the company. I think that's very valuable to have in a company.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started at Gold Athletics.
Yeah, so I got started with just starting from the ground up. I had to build a territory. I pride myself in how I built my territory with being one of the only reps that had to start completely from the ground up with no one even knowing the name Gold Athletics. And I think that's pretty cool that I was able to, within a year, do pretty well, not as well as I had hoped, but still get some good sales and some good momentum moving forward. So that year two, I could really, really hit the ground running and get a lot more sales, more than I even expected. It all starts with kind of just getting that one team, that one big team that you can work with. And then after you get that one big team, it all just kicks off from there. You can reference them a lot, and then more teams start to trust you.
So what didn't you know when you got started from scratch that you maybe wish someone had told you?
So something that I didn't know was you have to be extremely self-disciplined to be successful in this job. This is more or less running your own company with the resources from an umbrella company, I would say. So you're running your own business with support from a top business. So I would say something that comes along with that is a lot of self-discipline and a lot of self-organization, just keeping everything straight from the schools that you work with, from the coaches that you talk to, from the meetings you set up. Just keeping all of that extremely straight and organized was something that when I started, I wish I would have known, like, hey, you need to be ultra super organized from the very beginning instead of doing a whole year and not being organized and then having to catch up on organizing everything from the past year. So I would say the organization is something that I wish I knew going into it.
Sounds like a lesson learned
Yes.
on organization.
Yes.
So what would you tell someone that's hoping to enter the field?
Something that I would tell someone hoping to enter the field is that you need to be open to public speaking. I would say public speaking isn't the biggest part of the job, but I would say it could be the most uncomfortable part of the job for someone coming into it. Something that you need to kind of be open to is getting in front of groups with 100+ people and talking for 10 or 15 minutes. And I would say, you just need to be open to that. Once you start doing that, you kind of get that confidence and it comes pretty easily. But that's just something that you definitely need to be open to when starting to think about getting into this career path.
What's one thing you're striving towards in your role?
So I would say the main thing that I'm striving towards in my role right now is to proving my worth in my region, in my territory. I would say just being a year and a half in at this point, I've proven my worth to some teams that aren't as big, teams that are less willing to take a chance because they have more built as a program. So now I'm kind of proving my worth with some of these middle ground teams, so that some of these bigger teams with 100+, 150+ football teams want to work with me. So I'm working on proving my worth with these middle teams so that I can prove that these bigger teams, hey, I'm your guy that you want to work with. I'm the guy that can get it done. So I would say right now I'm striving towards proving my worth.
Awesome. What is changing the most in the world of fundraising and in our industry?
The thing that is changing the most is technology. There are a lot of companies out there that have been doing the same thing for 15, 20 years plus. They're dinosaur companies that really haven't changed much. And it's kind of proven that companies that are upgrading their technology, they're simply just making more money, and they're also providing teams with a more pleasant fundraising experience, from everything from the athletes to the coaches to the parents even, and then to the people that support the campaign. Everything is just more pleasant with the upgrading technology that we're using.
In 5 or 10 years, how do you see your role evolving?
5 years down the line, my goal is going to be less on getting new groups to work on and more improving my processes on the current groups that I'm working on. So right now, mainly I'm working on getting new groups so that even 10 years down the line, I'm still keeping teams that are doing really, really well and that I'm doing well with, and improving their processes. So I'm working less, but I'm working smarter to do the same amount of money built.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Last question I have for you today is, what kind of person would do well in your role?
So the person to do well in a role like this, you just need to be, like I've said a couple times, you need to be self-disciplined and you need to be a go-getter. You're not going to have anyone that is really like pushing you and telling you that you have to do this, you have to go get this done. You kind of just have to do it on your own and take it upon yourself to want to do it for yourself. So I would say you need to be self-driven go-getter. You need to be super organized. You need to be confident in, everything that you do when you're talking to a coach and you're in front of a team. And I'd say those are the main things that would make someone successful in this role.
Thanks for answering the questions. Thanks for sharing a little bit about you and your job here at Gold Athletics. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.